Tired of waiting forever for your tomatoes to ripen? Get ready to finally harvest those juicy red beauties with these simple tips and tricks. There's nothing quite as frustrating as watching your tomato plants flourish with beautiful green fruit that just won't turn red. You've nurtured these plants from tiny seedlings, watched them grow tall and strong, and now you're left staring at stubborn green tomatoes that seem content to stay that way forever. If you've ever found yourself checking your tomato plants daily, hoping for even a hint of color change, you're definitely not alone in this gardening struggle. Picture this. Your tomato plants are loaded with gorgeous, full-sized green fruits, but week after week passes without any sign of that beautiful red transformation you've been eagerly anticipating. Your neighbors are already enjoying fresh tomato sandwiches while you're still playing the waiting game. This scenario plays out in countless gardens every season, leaving even experienced gardeners scratching their heads and wondering what they're doing wrong. The truth is, slow-ripening tomatoes are one of the most common complaints among gardeners, and there's usually a combination of factors at play rather than just one simple fix. Understanding these factors is the key to transforming your garden from a collection of green ornaments into a productive source of delicious, vine-ripened tomatoes that will make your mouth water just thinking about them. The number one reason your tomatoes aren't ripening quickly enough comes down to insufficient sunlight exposure. Tomatoes are sun-worshipping plants that need a minimum of 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight daily to produce the sugars and chemicals necessary for proper ripening. When plants don't receive adequate light, they simply can't generate enough energy to complete the ripening process efficiently. Many gardeners make the mistake of focusing solely on whether their plants are getting some sun without considering the quality and duration of that exposure. Morning sun is particularly crucial because it helps dry the dew from leaves and fruit, preventing disease issues while jump-starting the plant's daily photosynthesis process. If your tomato plants are shaded by trees, buildings, or even other garden plants during peak sunlight hours, this could be the primary culprit behind your ripening woes. To maximize sun exposure, consider the positioning of your plants and whether any pruning of surrounding vegetation might help. Sometimes simply removing a few lower branches from nearby trees or relocating containers can make a dramatic difference in how much light your tomatoes receive throughout the day. Temperature fluctuations play a massive role in tomato ripening, and honestly, many gardeners don't realize just how sensitive these plants are to nighttime temperatures. When nighttime temperatures consistently drop below 55 degrees Fahrenheit or soar above 75 degrees, the ripening process essentially comes to a halt. Cool nights are particularly problematic because they signal to the plant that it should slow down its metabolic processes, including the production of lycopene and other compounds that create the beautiful red color we associate with ripe tomatoes. The optimal temperature range for tomato ripening falls between 65 degrees and 75 degrees, with consistent warmth being more important than, just the occasional hot days. If you're experiencing cool nights in your area, consider using row covers, wall-of-water devices, or even simple sheets to help retain heat around your plants during the nighttime hours. These protective measures can raise the microclimate temperature by several degrees, which is often enough to keep the ripening process moving along smoothly. Both overwatering and underwatering can significantly impact tomato ripening, though honestly most gardeners tend to err on the side of too much water rather than too little. Overwatered tomato plants put their energy into producing lush foliage rather than focusing on fruit development and ripening. When soil stays consistently soggy, roots can't access the oxygen they need to function properly, leading to stressed plants that struggle with all aspects of fruit production. On the flip side, severely underwatered plants will drop their fruit or produce tomatoes with tough, thick skins that ripen unevenly. The key is maintaining consistent soil moisture without waterlogging the root zone. Check soil moisture by sticking your finger about 2 inches deep into the soil near the plant base. If it feels dry at that depth, it's time to water deeply and thoroughly, allowing the water to penetrate down to the root zone rather than just wetting the surface. Strategic pruning can dramatically accelerate tomato ripening by directing the plant's energy toward fruit development rather than excessive foliage production. Start by removing suckers, those small shoots that grow between the main stem and branches, as they compete for nutrients without contributing to fruit production. Additionally, removing some of the lower leaves and any branches that aren't producing fruit helps improve air circulation and allows more sunlight to reach the developing tomatoes. Focus on removing leaves that are shading developing fruit clusters, but be careful not to overprune, as leaves are still necessary for photosynthesis. A good rule of thumb is to remove leaves below the first fruit cluster and thin out areas where foliage is particularly dense. This pruning should be done gradually over several weeks rather than all at once to avoid shocking the plant. So, late in the season, you can also top your plants by pinching out the growing tips, which, forces the plant to put all its remaining energy into ripening existing fruit instead of producing new flowers and fruit that just won't have time to mature before the frost hits. Nutrient deficiencies, especially when it comes to calcium and potassium, can really slow down the ripening process and even affect the quality of your fruit. Calcium plays a crucial role in cell wall development and helps prevent common problems like blossom end rot, while potassium is, essential for the chemical processes that create sugars and other compounds responsible for tomato flavor and color. Adding organic compost or well-aged manure to your soil gives you a slow-release source of these essential nutrients. But if you want faster results, you might want to consider applying a liquid fertilizer that's specifically formulated for fruiting plants. Bone meal is actually an excellent organic source of calcium and can be worked right into the soil around your existing plants, while wood ash provides potassium. Just remember to use it sparingly so you don't raise your soil pH too much. Healthy plants with access to proper nutrition will ripen fruit faster and produce tomatoes with better flavor and longer storage life. Pay attention to your plant's overall health, as stressed or diseased plants will always struggle with fruit production and ripening regardless of other conditions. Knowing when and how to harvest your tomatoes can actually speed up the overall ripening process for your entire crop. Many gardeners wait too long to pick their tomatoes, thinking they need to be completely red on the vine, but tomatoes that have reached the breaker stage where they're just starting to show color change will ripen perfectly well off the vine and often taste better than those left to fully ripen in less than ideal conditions. Harvesting tomatoes at the breaker stage also encourages the plant to put energy into ripening other fruit on the vine, rather than maintaining already mature tomatoes. Store these partially ripe tomatoes in a warm location, around 70 degrees Fahrenheit, and they'll continue ripening within a few days to a week. For the final harvest before frost, you can pick all remaining green tomatoes and ripen them indoors using the paper bag method. Basically, you just place them in a paper bag with a ripe apple or banana to speed up the process through natural ethylene gas production. Once you've implemented these strategies and started seeing those beautiful red tomatoes developing on your plants, you'll understand why the wait was worth it. There's nothing quite like the taste of a vine-ripened tomato that you've grown yourself, and the satisfaction of solving the ripening puzzle makes each bite even more rewarding. Your success with these techniques can inspire other gardeners in your community, so don't hesitate to share your experiences and the strategies that worked best in your specific growing conditions. Every garden is different, and what works perfectly in one location might need slight modifications in another, but the fundamental principles of adequate sunlight, proper temperature, consistent watering, strategic pruning, and good nutrition remain the same. Remember to document your successes and challenges throughout the growing season, as this information will be invaluable for planning and improving your tomato growing efforts in future years. The journey to perfect tomato ripening is often a learning process that gets better with each season. Ready to transform your tomato harvest? Don't forget to subscribe to Smart Garden for more practical gardening tips and tricks that actually work. Share this guide with fellow gardeners who might be struggling with slow ripening tomatoes, and let us know in the comments which of these strategies worked best for your garden. Your success story might be exactly what another frustrated gardener needs to hear.